attention. Shubhodayam and a very warm good morning. And thank you so much for joining us with today's webinar. I am Anshu Kumari, a second year computer science engineering student at Government Engineering College Bilaspur, and your host for this session. A session that will surely inspire the one who belongs from the important half population of our country, that is a lovely and tremendous woman, and the other half important population with surely motivate them, that is a men. It's my immense pleasure to welcome you all to this national webinar organized by State Project Implementation Unit, that is SPIU Chhattisgarh, in association with Government Engineering College Bilaspur. A very happy International Women's Day to each and every woman present out there. सिर्फ एक दिन आपके सम्मान के लिए देना बहुत ही कम होगा, लेकिन हम कोशिश जरूर कर सकते हैं. So now moving ahead in the series, the tremendous efforts by women and girls around the world in shaping a more equal future and recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic are extraordinary. Today, there is more acceptance than ever before that women bring different experiences, perspective, and skills to the table. And there are amazing role models that guide and inspire girl engineers in technology, making positive changes for future generations. So that women and girls will choose to challenge each and every barrier that comes in their path, challenge each and every thought that makes them weak. And this is the reason why we are here to celebrate this choose to challenge nature of our lovely women. Through this webinar organized by SPIU Chhattisgarh in collaboration with Government Engineering College Bilaspur, and the title is Navigating Your Career in Technology with the idea and perspective of a woman, and there will be surely lead to a magical impact in your life, क्योंकि जब नजर बदलता है तभी तो नजरिया बदलता है. So moving ahead in the series, a good administrative professional is the one who brings strength, support, and binds the team with the organization. With these words, I would like to invite Mr. Divakar Mishra Sir, State Project Administrator, SPIU Chhattisgarh, to deliver his welcome address.
Thank you, Anshu. And good morning to all. On the eve of International Women's Day, we are happy to welcome Namrata, a software engineer in PayPal, California, USA, as our guest speaker for navigating your career in technology. She has a rich and varied experience of more than 20 years in top companies located in Wall Street and Silicon Valley. She comes from Bokaro in Jharkhand, which has got a steel plant just like our Bhilai steel plant. After BTech from Birla Institute of Technology, which also happens to be our TechUp Institute, she has done her MS from USA and has been top performer ever since her first posting. What is most appreciating about her is that she has herself come forward to mentor and help our students. Besides excelling in professional field, she is very passionate about advancing the role of women in engineering. She invests a lot of thought and time in coaching young girls in problem solving and in maths. She is also involved in advising the schools on inclusive and effective computer science curriculum. She makes special efforts in mentoring young engineers who are preparing and are ready to step into workforce. She is also covering the challenges which women face in technology field and more importantly, how to overcome them in her presentation. Regarding preparation for the interview, I strongly believe that the amount of time which a student invests in the major projects and minor projects, the practical hands-on training and the possible solution to existing challenges being faced in the industry is of immense help to the young students, and which will help them very well in the interview. And so my poser to all the young students, first year students, that either you work very hard and smart for 4 years and have a successful and relaxing career for 40 years, or you can have a good time, good fun, and have tension for next 40 years. Regarding the topic, navigating is an interesting word, and we all use it in our cars to get directions to reach our destination. Here also, you have a good navigator in Namrata, Amit, your principal, professors, and all alumni. We have a galaxy of the alumni. The students, I would request them to connect to them throughout the 4 years and have a successful and a good career. I welcome Dr. Chawla, our most dynamic principal of the best government college in Chhattisgarh. We have got 4 NBAs, National Board of Accreditation in Civil, Mechanical, Mining and Electrical under his inspiring leadership and teamwork. And we are going for the 5th one in ET&T in April. I am sure I have a very strong belief that we will get the 5th one also. And at present, he is engaged in implementing a plan of our principal secretary to put GEC Bilaspur in the top 200 ranking institutes in the country, top 200 engineering institutes in the country. He has taken up the challenge, and we are sure that next year at this time, Bilaspur will be among the top 200 institutes. So we have a problem of plenty here. We have got about 450 participants registrations in this webinar, but we are happy that we are able to accommodate all the people, 250 in our MS team and others on Google Meet, and we wish that this problem increases. So I request all our students, we have the presence from students all over the country, but most of the students are from Bilaspur and Lakhanpur. So especially those students, I would request them to pay full attention, ask lot of queries and questions, and get connected to Namrata, especially the girls. We have a reservation in Chhattisgarh, 30% of the seats are reserved for girls, and same proportion, in fact more proportion should be there in the workforce also. So with these words, I thank our Vivek Singh, Anshu Singh, who is comparing, Uday Upadhyay, who has designed the certificates, and our team of young students is doing all these things. So it is in fact a practical and good hands-on training to them. With this, I welcome you to a great and interesting session. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू सो मच सर, और मुझे यकीन है कि हम सबको कुछ ना कुछ नया और अच्छा जरूर सीखने मिलेगा. सो नाउ मूविंग अहेड इन द सीरीज, a leader is the one who leads you from tide to shore with his calm and composed knowledge. With these words, I would like to invite Dr. B.S. Chawla sir, principal of GEC Bilaspur, to address the gathering.
Thank you, Anshu. Good morning all. On this occasion of webinar on navigating your career in technology, chief guest of today's webinar, most respected Sri Divakar Mishra sir, our very dynamic state project administrator, our guide, our mentor, Madam Namrata ji from US, as sir has told, say software engineer and a very right person for connecting to our students. The topic chosen is very, very useful, as in past few months we have seen the government's focus is purely on future skills. Naturally, the research by MHRD, by UGC and all apex bodies has concluded that the coming time will be of AI, under which data science, machine language, deep learning, robotics, these all will be covered. So jobs will be mainly on this. And as the time has changed, earlier there was wide gap between industry and institute. But now industry institute interaction is the main focus. What industry needs, what is the need of time. Accordingly, the curriculum should be designed and the workforce should be prepared for that to cater the need of industry. India is very strong in mathematics, in soft skills. We are leaders, we can say. Our students are very good. And the plus point with them is they know English too. In this way, we are better than China because China is slightly weak in language. Our students have command in English as well as they are good in maths. So in future skills, in learning AI and other areas, which Namrata ji will be telling, I'm sure our students will be very receptive and with full enthusiasm, they will take up the subjects. What I expect from Namrata ji is, we have seen in past, few of our alumni from US, they came forward, they took joint projects. In final year, to the final year students, they guided few projects. So few guides were from college and they assisted the projects. Later on, those hands-on experience of students that helped them to get placed in many companies. So such kind of mentoring, I'm sure we'll get from Namrata ji. In this talk, she will be guiding students that what are the ways to acquire skill in these emerging areas, how the minor and major projects topics should be chosen, and I'll request her to take up at least 2 best batches from our college as a joint project guide, joint project supervisor. So in this way, we'll have better connection and many students, they may get benefit from rich experience of Namrata ji. After a day, we are going to celebrate International Women Day. Namrata ji, as sir has told, in our state, there is reservation for girls in college as well as in jobs. Along with that, I would like to tell you that 100% fee is waived off for girls students in government colleges. Not a single fee they had to pay up to PG, right from class 1. So that's the main thought of the government. Government is serious that they should come forward. This major component of the population should come forward. They should be well educated. With these words, I'll expect from students that they will be very active in asking questions, because learning will be reflected only by your queries, your attention and what you are learning, what are your doubts. You must ask those things from Namrata ji. Thank you so much. I wish you good time in this webinar, and our students will be definitely lucky after this webinar to gain something very important from you. Thank you so much. Thank you to Vivek. Thank you, Ansu. Thank you, Uday. Thank you, Namrata ji.
Thank you so much.
Professor Khare, thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you. Welcome, Khare sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. And today we have with us a guest R.N. Khare sir from VEC Lakhanpur. He is the principal. सर मैं आपको बुलाना चाहूंगी आपके कुछ कीमती शब्दों के लिए, अगर आप गाइड कर पाए हमारी गैदरिंग को.
धन्यवाद. एक्चुअली मैं थोड़ा सा अभी टेक्निकल यूनिवर्सिटी में इंटरव्यू चल रहे हैं, उसमें थोड़ा बिजी भी हूँ, लेकिन हमारे सबसे पहले धन्यवाद प्रस्तुत करना चाहूँगा कि SPA सर श्री दिवाकर मिश्रा जी को, जिन्होंने हमारे बच्चों को भी शामिल किया. और ये खुशी की बात है कि इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज लखनपुर से 214 बच्चों ने रजिस्ट्रेशन किया है डॉक्टर BK द्विवेदी जी के नेतृत्व में, और डॉक्टर BS चावला जी और हम लोग तो एक ही साथ जुड़े हुए हैं इस तरह के टेक्निकल एजुकेशन अपलिफ्टमेंट के लिए. डेफिनेटली हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि प्रोग्राम बहुत अच्छा रहेगा, वेबिनार, और स्टूडेंट्स इसको सीखेंगे और आने वाले समय में उनकी एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी के लिए बेहतर होगा.
के कन्या नम्रता.
Thank you. Okay, over to Namrata.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So today we have with us Miss Namrata, software engineer at PayPal, California, USA. She's a perfect example of a woman who chose to challenge each and every hurdle that came in her path. She has been a part of the tech industry for more than 20 plus years and has held various technology roles in Wall Street and Silicon Valley. She is passionate about advancing the role of women in engineering, and that is the reason why she spends some of her time in educating young girls in the field of problem solving and mathematics, and also mentors young engineers who are ready to step into workforce. With these words, I would like to invite Namrata ma'am ताकि हमें एक नया नजरिया मिल सके. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I am humbled. That was a very warm welcome from everyone. I would like to thank Sri Divakar Mishra ji, Dr. B.S. Chawla, Professor Rathore, and all other organizers who I may not have interacted but have worked behind the scenes. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And also, I would like to congratulate you, Anshu. That was an inspiring and motivating speech for me. So I think without much ado, I would like to start with the presentation. So let me share my screen. All right. So the topic today is navigating your career in tech. In this webinar, I'm going to talk about some of those key skills, interviewing skills, and then how to excel in your first job. And also, I would highlight a little bit about the challenges that tech field poses, and especially zooming in the challenges that women face in this industry. So with that, let me start. So 5.6 billion searches per day at Google, 350 million image uploads every day on Facebook, 4.5 billion likes per day on Facebook, more than 2.2 billion iPhones sold to date, and Tesla records more than 3 billion miles on autopilot, so self-driving mode. And I'm sure you'll recognize some of these apps, your favorite apps from your day-to-day life. The stats that I just presented and the sheer amount of apps that we use every day in our day-to-day life tells you that technology is pervasive, is really pervasive in current times. Its reach has been wide across the population. And guess who made these? These are engineers like you and me. So it's a very exciting field to be in. What you create, you get to use. What you create, your family gets to use. It's amazing. So with that, let me tell you a little bit about me. I think a lot has been told, and they were very kind words. I'm not sure if I'm worthy of all that, but I will definitely walk you through my journey. And if there are any questions, I can answer during Q&A. So I grew up in India. I did my undergrad in India, BIT Mesra in computer science. I even worked for a couple of years. And then I moved to the US for doing my master's in computer science. Since then, I have held various technology roles. I've worked also at Wall Street as well as in Silicon Valley. So have seen a lot of jobs in the meantime. And if there are any questions around higher education or my journey, I can help answer later. All right. So as I said, I will address this. I'll have three sections in this talk. First would be where you plan and prepare for the interview. Second would be what you can do in your first job or in early career. And third is about the challenges. So let's start here. So these are some of the options that we have out of engineering colleges. So you could get a job, you could pursue higher education, you could get involved in research, or you could start on your own. Is my screen still visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, sure. Thank you. And then entrepreneurship is also an option. So I'll talk a little bit more about how to find that first job. Okay, so before I tell you what we need, I would like you all to think about this question. So what do you want to get out of your job? Like, just take 2 seconds. What comes to mind? I bet a lot of you will think about, I want that money that tech job offers. Rightly so, that is definitely one of the key motivators. But I will challenge you from this point to think a little bit beyond that. So money is definitely something that you need, but I will also urge you to think about the passion and the creative fulfillment part. So for most humans, I think the ultimate goal ends up being happiness. And this is a very popular Maslow's framework, hierarchy of needs, which tells us that as we move higher up in this hierarchy, from basic needs to passion to self-actualization, we get more and more happiness. So, money definitely covers for your basic needs, you're secured. What next? So you should think about your creativity, what brings you passion, what you're creative about, what you're passionate about. And so that is your second level. And then finally, when you can attain that potential, that fulfillment, where you can give back, where you can enrich the life around you, that is, a self-actualization phase, self-fulfillment phase. So I'll give you an example, and there are many examples, but I'll just pick one. So for example, Steve Jobs, it is known about him that when he was initially he was very poor, and during those days he would go to an Indian temple on Saturday for free food. So then once he took care of his basic needs, once he had the money and once the basic needs were covered, no longer, free food was a need of the hour, he focused on his passion and he built a lot of products that we all are proud of. And then from there on, he moved to the phase where he wanted to set up a foundation to give back to the needy and the, poor. And that is the self-actualization, finding that purpose phase. So my point is that just don't get stuck at the money. Try to move up in this ladder. So find that passion, invest in the creativity. All right, so let's move to the next one. So I think we all want to get to that, details around what is the tech job look like, prep looks like, and what we need to do. So let's just get a checklist out to you. GPA is important. Tech interview prep is very specific. It is not just a general interview prep and you can just show up. So that is important. That is something you need to plan and allocate time to do it. Hands-on projects, so your course projects or your internships, or you team up with friends, or you do meetups and come up with projects, or even to solve your day-to-day needs, just come up with projects and try to implement them. I think you learn the most when you're actually hands-on solving it rather than reading textbooks. You need both, but I would urge you to practice it hands-on. And then last but not least, communication skills is key. It does not mean that you have to excel in a certain language, but it means that you're able to clearly communicate your ideas, and especially your technical ideas, in the interview setting. Okay, so I will move on. So technical interview preparation. So what is it about and what you need to prepare? So I think most of the interviews at the entry-level positions will talk about data structures and algorithms. So I think those who are in computer science field will quickly relate to this. But it doesn't matter if you're not in computer science field, you can always take courses or you can read up and work towards this as well for that job. And then, so this is like vocabulary. These are the building blocks, tools that you need that gets asked in the interview. And then second area is learning about how distributed systems work. So there are a lot of resources on internet. I think there are too many to even go through them. So I would tell you that cut out the noise, just stick to some resources. So learn about the distributed systems by first principles. They know that at entry level, you will not have built any big system. So it is okay to know the theory part. And you can read engineering blogs of many companies who tell about their design, what they used. So that is also one good resource you can bank on. Okay, so then the next is the projects that you have worked on. So whether in the course or in internship, the hands-on projects that you have worked on. So it does not matter if your project was very challenging. I think hindsight, everything does not look very challenging because we have done it, right? So you have to prepare your resume, understanding that this was the project given to me, your scope, what was your role in it? Your role could be very small and that is okay. You don't have to come up with how you made a big difference in the project. What you have to come up with is what was your scope of work and why it was important, how you designed and implemented it. And more importantly, you will get asked about the challenges that you faced. Because if you didn't face any challenge, then I guess the work was way too easy, right? So think about what challenges you faced. And again, it is not that that challenge has to be something that nobody can solve. No, they're not looking for that. They are looking to see when you found a challenge, how did you navigate after that? And then how you measure performance of your system. So these are some of the things too when you're preparing for the interview and you're looking at your resume and the projects that you have listed. Try to talk about these, think through these before the interview. And then the behavioral questions have become very important in current times. Most companies want those people who are easy to work with, who will collaborate well. They do not want super intelligent people, but who don't know how to work in a team, right? So the fit and the behavioral questions are very important as well. So what you can do to prepare for them is think through scenarios in your project work where you worked with a few people. Was there any conflict? Was there any challenge? How did you, what was the impact and what you did and how it affected the project in a positive way. So think through all those cases from your work experience and list them out and then prepare story. I think there are many frameworks. You can use STAR framework, whereas it's the situation, action, and result, something like that. You can look it up. So you can form a framework and you can apply those that to all these scenarios. All right, so this summarizes what to prepare for the technical interview piece. I do want to mention that with every passing year, the technical interviews are getting harder and harder because things become, people reach that bar. So then interviews become even harder. The bar is raised. So you definitely need to spend time to prepare these. Okay, so the next slide I want to talk about is the format of the interview. I think how to prepare, right? So what are the things that you can do? It's important to know what is the format of the interview of the company that you are interviewing at. Most companies, most technical interviews will have more coding for the entry-level position. So they might have 75 to 80% coding problems, where you will be given a problem to figure out what is the optimal way of solving that problem algorithmically, and then you have to explain and even code it or whiteboard it. So, so that's the format, right? So that tells you that if you're going to be asked 75% coding, then you better be prepared on it. And that is the area you should focus on most. So practice coding problems regularly. It's hard to do it in 1 week or 1 month. I think you have to build it steadily. So invest time over a period. And then proficiency in at least one coding language is good to have. So for your coding, you can pick a language. A lot of people, I think, these days use Python because it's less lines of code and it's faster to code in an interview setting. I have used Java and it's fine, although I do feel that Python gets a little bit faster when you're coding. Okay, and then these interviews are set up for 45 minutes to an hour typically, and you have to come up, solve the problem, code it, it should run, you should be able to explain the problem back. So you can see that they are creating kind of a environment which really tests you out for both your understanding and also for your speed. And this is this is something that can get ignored, right? Like you don't practice in a time setting, or you don't practice in a like a time bound way, then that shows in the interview performance. So I can give you some tips, although there is no one way to do it. But a lot of people should learn touch typing. That is a good way to improve your typing speed. So use the right fingers for the right keys. One other suggestion is that you could participate in competitive programming. Not necessary, not the only way to do it, right? But it simulates that setup where it's done in a done in a kind of time. There is a time bound as well as the challenge is high, so it simulates a little bit of the interview setup. Also, don't practice in the real interviews, right? That is something that I was told. Don't just show up to the interview. Practice with your friends, practice online. I think they have a lot of online sites where you can register to be paired with somebody with whom you can practice. So, but friends works well. You could just figure out two people buddy up together. You are preparing for the interview. You can take each other's mock interview. So, all right. And then the last one, I think everyone handles with anxiety differently. I tend to get really anxious in interview setting. So what I found out is that preparation helps to tackle that. So I think just focus on preparing for it. That helps you deal with the anxiety. So you're more prepared, you feel confident, and you perform better in the interview. Okay, all right. So then I think I will go to the next one, right? So, so we talked about a lot of preparation that needs to go in, and it's not going to be a quick preparation, right? 1 week, I'll burn some midnight oil and I'll be ready. No, so it takes time. So there are some structures that I felt helped me, and I wanted to share them with you. And these are some of the ideas that you can try it out, see if it helps you. So it's a journey, right? So you need to have some structure to support you. So I would say that the mindset matters, and I wish I knew this when I was, when I was much younger. So there are two types of mindset. There are one set of people who think that I can either do it or I cannot do it. And so they have a locked kind of mindset that my intelligence is fixed, my capabilities are fixed, it's static, I cannot, so I can either know how to do this or not know. And these are the people who try to do same things what they are comfortable in again and again. These are also the type of people who find it hard to receive feedback. because they are not thinking about the growth factor. And when they find things too hard, they are ready to give up. And on the other side, which I will definitely, it's a mindset. People are same. It's just how your mindset is. You deal with the situation differently. So the person who has a growth mindset will think that I can develop my abilities. I am not static in my intelligence. I can grow. So that's a key differentiator. They embrace challenges more easily because they think that the challenge helps me grow. So every time I take up a challenge, I am stretched a little bit more in my capabilities. And they feel that if you give me feedback, oh, that's very helpful to me, I can just use it and become better. So they are focused on growing, right? And they know that it will take effort. They are not shy of effort. So it's just the mindset. It's not that, you are a growth mindset person and you are not. You can embrace that mindset and that will help you. And there has been a lot of scientific research that they see changes in the brain when some students, when they are struggling with a problem in math versus some students who are not, like they are working below their potential level. So there is scientific proof behind it. Okay, so then let me go to another powerful concept that I want to introduce. Building habits. So, if you think of a Herculean goal, meaning like you have a very big goal, and it will be difficult to just think of a big goal and achieve it all of a sudden. So instead of thinking about that big goal, what we can do is we can create systems in place where we do a little bit towards that goal every day. So we don't focus on that goal, but we focus on the system. So say, for example, you want to improve in coding, right? So you will say to yourself, okay, there are sites like Lead Code where there are 2,000 problems or more. I don't know how many these days. But so if I have to do all of that, right? So if you set that goal, let me solve those 2,000 problems. That is a big goal. I mean, it's if you just keep thinking about that goal, you're not going to hit it. But instead, transform that into, I will solve 5 problems every day. And then that means you are breaking that up, and you are just focusing on your system that you have created. Solve a little bit every day. So this talks about the graph that you see here is how you can, so it's a compounding effect, a simple math that we know, right? So if we improve 1% every day, in an year, we will improve 37 times. So this is just a compounding math, right? 1% to the power of 365 is 37. So that's the idea, that do a little bit every day. All right. So I think I will leave you with these two tools and see if if it helps you. Okay, so so I'm very sure that all of you will find a job. It always works out. Just you don't know when, right? So just keep going. So now you are at a job, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what is important in the early career. So I think my picture gives away a little bit that I want to share. So these are stepping stones, right? So your first job and your early career is a stepping stone. So where it will take you, right? So it's important. So focus on that because it builds, what will come later builds upon it. Okay, so actually, let me go back. Yeah. So we should know what our employers value, right? So they'd absolutely have hired you for all the technical skills that you have. So that hard skills is non-negotiable. You will have that. But on top of that, they value collaboration. They value how resourceful you are. They value you are dependable. If they give you something, you will own it all the way. You will be the owner for that. And they don't have to constantly micromanage you or check on you. So So that is one idea. The other is it's very important, and I will say that in early career, it's hard to have that vision of understanding who our customer is, because we try to focus on the task that we have been given, and we do not have that bandwidth to understand what is the breadth of what the work that we are doing. So it's important to know who your customer is, who you are building things for, and what they value, right? And then you also should know the work that you are doing, what impact it has on the customers. So you could be doing a very small portion of the work, but it is good to have that context, how it's being used. And when you have that, I think the type of thought that you will put in the work itself will be a little bit different than when you are just working to check off the task on your plate. And execution, I think, is again non-negotiable. They give you work, they expect you to deliver flawlessly. So that is something you should be very confident about doing. So the next is one idea I want to share. I have seen that a lot of people who have grown their roles and responsibilities every 2 to 3 years have done very well in the long run. So it does not matter that you change the job. It matters that you expand your responsibility even with the current company or the current job. So I think keep that out, look out for that every 2 to 3 years. If you see you have picked up what was required in that current job, try to ask for increased responsibilities. And then last but not least, seek mentorship and sponsorship. So mentorship is people who will help you remove the roadblocks or difficulties that come in your way. And sponsorship is people with some influence who can sponsor, who can vote for you, or who can say that, this is a very good person and I back this person up. So a little bit different, but you need both of them at some point in your career. Okay, so let me do a quick check here. So was I audible? Because I kept talking, so I wanted to make sure.
Yes,
Is the
you were
screen
audible.
visible and am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so then I come to my third section, which talks about challenges, and every challenge becomes an opportunity to improve, right? So that's why it's challenges and opportunities. And I will take this forum today to talk about a little bit more about women in technology. It does not mean that all these issues that I will list out are very women specific. They can happen either way. But I think from my perspective as a woman, I am bringing some of my thoughts. And also, I would have dismissed gender related issues or gender equality or parity related issues with some carelessness in my early career. I think it was not an issue for me back then. But when I started seeing it happen firsthand, did I recognize it as being a problem. So let me go through that. And my goal is to not solve these problems today, but just to raise awareness so that you can be mentally better prepared when you see these things. All right. So my challenge number one is career stagnation. By stagnation, I mean lack of or slowness in the career growth. So let me introduce that. Yeah. All right, so I will do some storytelling here. So sit back and relax. So here you see a picture of two women talking, right? So a few years back, this is me and my friend. So a few years back, I was talking to a school friend of mine about career stagnation. And in other words, lack of slowness in growth, right? So in that conversation, I seemed to be doubting my capabilities. And then my friend reminded me that how I was a star performer in the class and how I used to score 100% in math. She put a vote of confidence in me that day. I felt good. We chatted some more and then I said goodbyes and we left. But what lingered in my mind for many days after that, how did that narrative change from that star performer to someone who's doubting her capabilities, maybe unsure of capabilities, or who's talking about career stagnation. So that day I did some more deeper reflection, and I asked some difficult questions to myself. So let me read this out just to get them just for that context. So did I pass on a good opportunity thinking that it would work with a 5 p.m. It wouldn't be favorable, or it wouldn't work with a 5 p.m. daycare pickup? Did I stay silent when an aggressive manager made unprofessional remarks on many occasions? Did I cry at workplace and felt weak about it? Did I feel unready for a promotion? Did I cringe every time I had to negotiate for a salary? Was I excessively self-critical when rating myself? And guess what? My answer to all those questions is a yes. It is not just me or my friend's story. This is women are disproportionately affected by some of these issues. And that's why I wanted to bring them to light today. So traditionally, women have been known to balance a lot of multitask and balance a lot of tasks, and that does have real life impact on the career. So let's examine this a little bit more. Please bear with me. So I think I have tried to categorize this into 5 areas. So representation. So early on, women are often discouraged from pursuing activities as math, science, and coding, which leads to a disproportionate lack of women in the tech force. This means that there are few women in technical field to start with, and because of all the factors that I mention next, the numbers keep on declining. Next is the opportunities. So women are often left out of important work or learning related opportunities due to things like taking care of a family or relocation after marriage. And these are real problems that women face. Third thing I want to bring light to is game of catch up. I mean, I'm definitely, seeing this in the workplace, that there is always a game of catch up for women. So oftentimes after taking maternity leave, women have to catch up significantly, and they are often not on the same page as their teammates, causing them to have to work extra hard and for longer hours. This leaves little room for other leisure activities, professional networking, and self-development outside of a professional setting. So tech is an incredibly fast-paced environment, and it will need upskilling to stay relevant, right? So every 5 years, the set of technology changes, the stack changes. So you cannot just learn something 20 years back and kind of, bank on it for the rest of your career. You have to constantly upgrade your skill set and learn the new technologies, right? So that takes time, that takes commitment, and it becomes hard when you have to constantly catch up because of certain maternity leave or with a young family. When you are growing your family, your time is divided. Next is the cultural bias. I think it's very commonly known that in a male-dominated cultural setting, women are often conditioned or trained to follow social norms that attempt to make them more submissive. Self-doubt. Due to these social norms, women are often set to nearly unreachable standards, causing them to sometimes have an increase in self-doubt and a pressure to impress others. So for all these reasons, and if not many more, women, these are some of the issues that I classified from the questions that I posed earlier. Okay, so we talked about issue. That's great. We have awareness now, but what can we do about it? And I have put some, cues here, visual cues for you to think about what you can do. So let's start being fearless. So being fearless means, when you are at a workplace and you are, say have a busy work, you are given a busy work instead of a challenging work, be fearless to bring it up to the supervisors, your managers, your group. Don't limit yourself. So take those risks. Risks pay off. People respect when you are advocating for yourself. Build expertise. So knowledge is power. So, keep building an area of expertise so that you're well respected and you can bank on your skills. Negotiate hard when it comes to getting good work, when it comes to getting good salary. So, value yourself, value your self-worth, and be ready to negotiate for that if you don't see it happening. Participate in hiring. So, unless we participate actively in hiring, we cannot expect to level the playing field. So let's all participate in hiring when we have those jobs where we can make a difference. Give back, of course, never leave anybody struggling alone. Be always there to give back when you are able to either mentor them, guide them, or even if support them in any project and things like that. Work guilt-free. So I think this is very important. This is no denying that every woman I have talked to will come up when they come back from maternity leave, will go through this experience of guilt. They are guilty about they are not putting enough time at home. They are guilty about not doing enough at work. There is constantly that angst. So work guilt-free. You can do some things about it. So what you can do, you can work with your manager to say, I need some time to upskill. I need some time to to fill the gap that has been created with my time away. Put some time in your calendar and do little by little every day. So again, apply that 1% rule, right? So keep working on that. And then, I think some of these are obvious. So build that self-confidence. People reflect it, right? So your how their reaction is shaped by how you project yourself. Advocate for yourself is good. You know that. Network professionally, invest time in networking in professional setting. I think you will hear of those initial ideas when you do that. And you can be, you can say, I am here if you need help. So you can be out there when some ideas to participate early in some of those projects. So prioritize. I think this one I struggle with. Not everything is important at the same time. So figure out what is the priority. You don't have to do 100%. Do that 80% that falls in that, in the higher priority, and that's good. All right, find your allies. I think we understand mentorship and sponsorship. So hopefully this will give you some cues to build on, ideas, what you can do about it. All right, so I think this is my second and the last challenge that I wanted to bring up. It's about the bias. So what is a bias? Let's talk about it for a bit. So I'll tell you about a study that was done where participants were given pictures of a crying baby. To some participants, they said the baby's, or they wrote on that picture baby's name as that being of a male baby. And in some other pictures, for some other participants, the name of the infant was that of a baby girl. So they were asked, can you write down what you see in the picture? What is your interpretation? What is the emotion that baby is feeling? That was their goal. Some people wrote anger and some people wrote fear. So why those two different emotions, right, for the same picture? The difference is that people who saw the name as being that of a baby boy wrote anger, and the people who saw the name as that of a baby girl wrote fear. So they did not do it intentionally. This was completely involuntary, unintentional. This is how their brain interpreted it in that setting, right? So what we have just seen is an example of an unconscious bias, where we are involuntarily interpreting in a certain way. There are many other examples. I can give you some example around a hacker. So when you think about a hacker, what picture in your head do you get? You think of a male, young male with a hoodie, right? And a laptop, or some darkish picture. So that's again our bias. When you think of surgeons, you think of male. When you think of secretaries, you think of females. So these are very involuntary bias that has been built over time with social conditioning, and there are many factors. This is a topic in itself. So let's actually try to understand in workplace, how does it hurt us, right? That's more important to us. So how does it hurt you in the workplace? It shows up in hiring. So if the panel is not diverse enough, or has not been trained, or there has not been policies to counter bias, there can be some implicit bias, and it can affect the outcome of the hiring, who is hired and who is not. Again, there is another example of pay gap. So women are paid less. There is enough data to talk about it. You can look it up, but women get paid less because of, again, a gender there is a gender pay gap because of a bias. And the bias is about, their capabilities in a technical role. So, so that affects the pay. So these are some of the examples how it hurt us. I will definitely at this point mention that for pay gap, your best defense is to prepare very well for the interview, because if you excel in your interviews, you can ask, you can really negotiate very easily. They will want to have you. So that is your best defense. Second is do the research. So when you are, say, talking with a company and they want to hire you, do the research as to what they are paying. In general, there are many sites, right? Glassdoor, and there are many places where anonymously people post. You can check there what is the range of that, and then also work on your self-worth. If you don't think you are worth for that pay, nobody will give you that pay. So work on that self-image and self-worth. So I'll leave you with that thought, because I think it comes up very often. And then, so what can we do about this bias? I mean, we are saying that it's involuntary. We are saying that it hurts us. So what can we do? So since it's involuntary, our biggest defense against is to be aware of it and set up structures in place and policies and processes to neutralize it, so that it counters the effect of the bias in that process. All right, so I think that's all I had to say about the bias. So let's go to this part. This is the final concluding slide, and I would say that this is 2 to 3 years away for you, what I have just talked about. But you can start applying this in the college setting, and you can work on these mindset and habits right from the beginning, and I'm sure it will help you. You'll be more ready when you are out there in a job. And so my wish really for you is that for all these questions that I answered with a yes, I hope you get to answer with a no. And with that, I'll conclude my speech. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So if you have any questions, feel free. And I just wanted to highlight, this is the email ID you can use to write to me. I may be slow in responding, but I'll get to it over the weekends and I'll get back.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope your navigation will definitely do the work of a compass in this wide, never-ending ocean of technology. And along with this, I would also like to say that unsurety is everywhere. And the funny part is, this fact is unbiased. We all just have to be sure about one thing. And the thing is, we have the capabilities to do what we want. We just need to focus. So, moving ahead in the series, I would like to invite Miss Indrani Borkar, ma'am, for the feedback series and feedback session and question and answer session. Ma'am, over to you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Anshu. Thank you so much, Namrata Jha ma'am, for such a great session. And I'm sure our students will be benefited from this session for their job opportunities. Thank you so much, ma'am. For feedback session, I would like to invite some of our students. First of all, I would like to invite Sejal Devangan for the feedback session.
Borkar ma'am, can we have questions first? Then we can have feedback. What is the format?
Yes, sir. Okay. We can have question answer session first. Vivek, sir, that will be all right.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, that will
Yes,
be
sir.
fine.
Okay, okay. So we can take
Can you please
questions
guide
first.
our students two, three small tips how they can have a growth mindset right from the beginning? Most of our students are first year. They have
Yes,
just
sir.
joined the college. Two,
Yes,
three
sir.
small tips which they should start doing every day and improve perhaps 1%.
Yes. Namrata Jha ma'am, I would like to request you that can you give some tips regarding job if someone apply for a job, what they can do first, because they all are from first year, so they don't actually know what is the format to go further. So if you give some tips for
Sure,
students.
sure. So looks like the question is from first years, right? So I before that first job, they have to look out for internship opportunities, right? So so let me think about some of the tips. So what they can do is one, reach out to alumni, um, look for roles that are there in their companies, and it's important that you enable someone to help you, right? So if you leave all the work to the person to help you, you are going to have to either wait for them to respond, or it may become hard for that person to help, right? So do that work, come up with the job openings or the internship openings that are there, and then send them the links with what you have done and what you can do. So that's one way, reaching out alumni, use leverage LinkedIn. I think cold calls may work or may not work, so that is you should reach out within networks where there is some credibility that people know you directly or indirectly. Then other is show up for those job fairs, volunteer in meetups, go there and talk to people, and you will learn a lot. I mean, even in doing this presentation, I'm learning, right? So when you show up, when you are right out there, and tell people that this is what I want to do, this is what I want to learn, and they see you doing your homework, they will have you in mind for that next opportunity. So that is one. Campus, I think I am not sure about what kind of campus setup you have, but campus recruitment is also a great way to apply for internships and jobs. I think those would be some of the tips.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
I would like to request to students that if they have any queries regarding the session, they can raise their hands or unmute themselves and ask the question.
Greetings to all. I am Sejal Devangan from GC Bilaspur, and I am currently pursuing my BTech in mining engineering. I would like to thank Namrata ma'am for this enlightening presentation on navigating your career in technology. Nowadays, people are more focused on getting a high payable job rather than focusing on building career in any of the given specific field. Through this presentation, I learned a lot about building a better career, which will definitely benefit me in a longer run. Thank you, ma'am, for this stupendous presentation. Thank you.
That is great. It's helpful for you. I am so happy to hear this.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Sejal.
I think
I can.
Anshu wants to ask something, right?
Yes, ma'am. Uh, Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Diptanshu Srivastava. I am
Hi.
a student of mining engineering first year, GC Bilaspur. Ma'am, you given the plus first slide to show that about the preparation and about the software, about the job, higher education, research, and entrepreneurship. So, ma'am,
Mhm.
I want to suppose a person who is not very much having knowledge about the software, but he has brilliant ideas in the creativity and making the means making the about the strategy and about making the things to how it gets fascinate the people to increase the demand of a particular system. So can that person also can get the job in IT industry?
So I think there were some areas where I couldn't hear very well, but what I gathered was your question is that for someone who's not from software, but but wants to contribute with creativity and ideas and entrepreneurship based recommendations, can they also find a job? Is that your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so there are many roles, and I think it will depend on what role you are going for, right? So within technology, there is a core development role, then there is solutions engineering role, right? So solutions engineering or they are kind of sales engineer. So they build solutions and ideas as a mock-up, and they do the initial test with the customers, and if that does well, then it goes to the product people who will develop the product feature on it. So those sales engineers are a great way where you can mix your you can learn software skills. I mean, I don't want to discourage you, because again it comes to great that growth mindset that I was talking about. This is all doable. You can take courses. There are many Coursera, and there are many sites, like it's unlimited. So if you really want to build your software skills, you can do that. But if you want to do a job which kind of is a intersection of sales, product and engineering, you could also look for the solution engineering roles.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Uh, I think Ayush Divakar wants to ask something.
Yes, sir. A warmful good afternoon to you, ma'am. My name
Thank
is Ayush Divakar. I am currently pursuing my BTech degree in IT sector. My question is that, ma'am, the rumors everywhere the rumors are that we are currently in government college, and the rumors are that in government college we can't have any campus placement, or we can't get any job of highly paid, highly LPS. So what do you think about, ma'am? Because you are also born in a very poor family, you are also belongs to a middle class family, but after that situation you go through US for your higher studies, and then you get a job in US, ma'am. So how we can how we change our lifestyle, ma'am? Because you also changes your lifestyle to middle class to a US citizenship, ma'am. So please guide us for that, ma'am. And also my question is that, ma'am, is campus placement is very necessary for us to get a job of highly LPA? Because my dream or my goal is not that, but nowadays I'm also in government college. So please guide, ma'am.
Sure. So I think you asked many questions there. So let me unpack it one by one. So I think a common thread that I saw in your conversation was you you feel that you have less opportunities because of being in government college. I think it's okay to think that way, but what I will encourage you to do is don't limit yourself, because I think by thinking this way, you're trying to limit your own, capabilities and ventures. So if a campus setup is not there, or it's not to the level that you have been looking at, there are many other ways. So what you can do is you can initiate ways where you can invite people. So for example, mentoring. So you can initiate ways where you invite companies in different ways. You can work with your professors to, create in creative ways to invite companies to help you. So I think it's you'll have to come up with more creative ways. But let me get to your second question about moving to US and changing that, right? So I think I will try to remove that general notion that's there, that tech jobs in US are better, or that's the only way to go. I will definitely challenge you to not think that way. So I think all these companies, Google, Facebook, all these big Silicon Valley companies have a big presence in India also, and even in PayPal, right? So I work with half my team is in India, and I work out of here. A lot of people go from here to India, they basically for several years, if they want to be with their family. So I want you to think that it is not a limitation. So work without that limitation in your mind. So you can definitely grow your skills. What you cannot get out of in one course, you can always go back and sign up for some other course on your own and do it. I think about so there are a lot of free resources also available on internet. I think YouTube is like a wealth of information, and sometimes there are courses from MIT, courses from Brown University, like really those best of the best professors. They have put their classes all on YouTube and open courseware. So you can actually just attend entire computer science curriculum just through those open courseware. They are all free. So my point is, I'm sure it will be a lot of work. You'll have to plan and strategize, but don't limit yourself. You can do it. I hope that answers. Is there anything that I missed?
No, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me for my answer. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure, you're very welcome.
Is there any other one who wants to ask any query or any question? Can raise your hand. I think Aishwarya wants to ask something. Aishwarya?
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Ashwar Kumar Singh. I am currently pursuing mechanical engineering from GC Bilaspur. My question to you is, nowadays everyone is focused on building their career in technological field, as it's one of the most lucrative options out there. But as there is a rise in supply of applicants in this field, and there's definitely a decrease in the paying wages by the companies, by the technological companies, in specifically in India, don't you think that there will be a saturation in this field in coming years, and there will be a decrease in the rate of rise in the career growth in this field?
So honestly, I don't think so. I think what people are working on currently may change, right? So some things will get automated, or smarter technologies will come, and the focus will move to something else. But I really don't see that technology will slow down at all. I think it's just gonna keep growing, and especially with AI, and you'll see more and more of technology. So it may just change on what, right? So a lot of automation is happening. I can see that a lot of operational jobs are great. Great developer tools have come out, and it removes the need of the operational jobs. So those things will happen. So the shift will happen, but I don't see slowing down. Yeah.
Any other? They have any query? Task?
participants are requested to kindly raise your hand if you want to ask any question. And those participants who are in Google Meet, you can use chat option. I can dictate that question and tell to ma'am to handle this. So, is there anyone to ask something? I think Ayush Divakar wants to ask something. Ayush?
Sorry, ma'am. Uh, but I also have one more query that I am from IT sector. I am from IT branch, information technology, and my goal is to in computer science. So please, if I can't change my sector, so please guide me what I do to get my goal or what I basically my goal is highly reputed LPA. So please give me some tips to get my job or in IT sector, how can build my future.
Okay. Actually, can you or can Professor Rathore help me understand IT sector versus computer science is different? Is that what the question is about? Like you are in IT sector and you want to move to computer science? Was that the question?
Ma'am, which is more helpful to get a reputed job, IT sector, IT branch or computer science branch? What prefers
Yeah, I think that is a little bit specific to the branches and colleges in the college that you are in. So from my perspective, there are jobs in both fields. I think computers, and I'm guessing, so I think I may be going a little bit tangent here. I am guessing that computer science would be product development type of roles and IT would be more support roles. Is that what? I may have to look up. I think I do not have enough information to understand the difference that you're asking. So maybe you can send the question to my ID that's on the slide, namratawebinar@gmail.com, and I'll definitely respond by looking it up. Mhm.
Yeah, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Yeah.
I think Sejal wants to ask something. Sejal?
Uh, uh, Ma'am, my question is that many of us get anxious while giving some interview or presentation. So I think it's a disadvantage for us. So kindly help me to deal with this.
That is a great question, Sejal, and I also suffer with it every day. So yeah. So some of the things that can help is preparation, right? So that I think always helps. Second is taking a few minutes before the presentation or interview and doing that power talk to yourself. I am good. This is what I have done. I have, just assure yourself of some of your previous accomplishments. So that brings you in that frame of mind, which is not the self-doubt mindset, but you're out of that. Maybe listen to a little bit of music before interviews. I think a lot of people do that as well to kind of calm yourself. And then even if you are nervous, it is okay. Take the first 2 minutes. Nervousness goes away after first few minutes. So people understand in interview setting, the panelists or the interviewers are trained to kind of make you comfortable, or they will ignore first few minutes. They'll try to ask questions which will warm you up. So it's okay first few minutes if you're not feeling, that confident. So keep that in mind that it's not going to hurt your performance. But I think once you start talking, once you know what needs to be said, once you know how the problem will be solved, I think you will not need any support.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Hope that helps.
Some questions are coming from Google Meet also. So shall I take, ma'am?
Sure.
Sanya wants to ask something. Good afternoon, ma'am. I am a second year student from computer science branch. Ma'am, what is the role of internship in campus recruitment? What things are product-based companies judge when they hire us? Most of the resume they even don't see. This is the question.
Yeah. So, right. So I think so it is known that you can see by the number of resumes people will receive. They may not be able to do justice, right? So a lot of companies have some ways, programs that will filter out resumes for them. So now nobody is even looking at it unless that program flags your resume, right? So you want to do something on top of that, right? You cannot just rely on your resume getting flagged. So what you can do is, I think, connections usually work. So if you know somebody who's working there, reach out to say, if you have an internship position in your company, reach out to as many people as you know, through first and second level contacts. I think cold call, for example, if somebody will just send a cold call to me on LinkedIn, it will be hard for me to help, right? I cannot vouch for someone I don't know at all. So reach out to those people who can vouch for you in their companies. So I think internships are a little bit even easier, right? Because it's what's at stake, 2 months of their time and to test you, right? So they are more open than jobs. They'll be willing to try you out. And once you are there, you have to just do your best to convert that into a job later. So your performance definitely will, stay there with them to consider you for a full-time position. So I think, yeah, contacts like word of mouth, reaching out to contacts, that's the best way to get your resume looked at. Recruiters, definitely recruiters are, also able to filter out the resumes, right? So try to see if you can get your resume out to them.
One more question is there. Rishabh wants to ask something that, ma'am, if we see many software developer nowadays say that most visited site before placement is geeks for geeks, and after placement is Stack Overflow. So, ma'am, there is a very vast gap in a work culture in college and in development jobs. So, can you please tell me how you have cope up when you have just crossed college and came to job?
Okay, Professor Rathore, can you repeat the part after Stack Overflow just one more time for me, please?
Stack Overflow. So, ma'am, there is a vast gap in a work culture in college and in development job. So, can you please tell me how you have cope up when you have just crossed college and came to job?
Yeah, right. So everyone's journey is different. I think when I said that first job is important, that is really something that sets you up for your next roles. Not that if you cannot change it, but it becomes easier, right? If you have put the foot on the right stone. So in the first job, I think take up whatever comes for sure, but always look out for your passion. So maybe you are interested in certain thing. There will be a hackathon or a challenge at work that may not be your sole project that you're working on, but get yourself out there and do those things. So you'll be building those skills on the side, or set up time with in your jobs, like set up mentorship one-on-one times and ask them, what project are you working on, or what can I learn from this, what challenges did you face. So with those conversations you will start looking at what other people and other areas, what kind of work you have in your company. So then ready to do what, because if you don't deliver on your current project or the job, I think nobody will help you even in the company setting. So you have to first make sure that's taken care of, and then you can do these other things as extracurricular within the company. And and learning is by doing, right? So in computers, I think the only way you learn is when you write that many lines of code. You have to do it hands on. So just keep doing that, I think, and don't lose sight. Sometimes, people are stuck in more operational work or more work which is repeatable, and you're not really building your skill. So it's okay, you can do that, but when you are getting something like that, try to think of creative ways how you can automate that so that you don't have to keep doing it. And then you can say, I want to do something else now, because this I have made, like what used to take me half a day to do, I have made something that will just take 30 minutes, so I am free to do something more interesting. So always kind of move up in the chain, do more creative work rather than repetitive work. And this is, I will not say that who knows this is able to implement it right away. It's a journey, right? So for me also it was a journey, for others also it's a journey, but if you have ideas, then you can keep trying them, right?
I think more questions are not there. Indrani ma'am, can you see any other question? Or ma'am, your voice is coming very low. Your voice is not coming, ma'am.
Sir, it's Monish and me, Ritesh.
Okay, Ritesh.
Um, Good evening, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Myself, Ritesh Agrawal from ET&T First Sem. Ma'am, I want to ask that using open source code is ethic or not? Because means there are some institutions which means try to not use that. Um, is there? It is good or bad, ma'am? I want to ask.
um I think there is, so from what I understand, there isn't a good or bad with the open source code. A lot of companies don't use it because it is not fully vetted out in, it's not matured enough or has not been, um, you delivered as a product through a company, right? So people are hesitant about, say, security reasons or other reasons. So some big companies may hesitate, but the culture nowadays is a lot of companies who are building out new products use open source. And when it comes to productionizing, and when there is reason to move away from it, at a later stage they move away from it. So I think it's okay. And actually, to that question, I will add, working on open source projects is also a great way to, developing your skills. So I haven't done that, but I have seen a lot of people who contribute on an open source project. So what you do is, I think you will submit your commits or changes, and it will get reviewed by that company, and they will then, merge it or not merge it. So a lot of people do that to learn.
Thank you, ma'am. And
Sure.
also, I want to thank you for your
One more.
existence. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much. Yeah.
One more question is there, ma'am. What can we do when we face difficulties to cope up with new technologies? How can we handle that situation?
Yeah. So, you will not like my answer, but it is in the mind. So, so what I will tell you, so you don't have to start with a book. I think these days, the way you can engage with material has become, there are many ways you can engage with material. You can have videos. So that's, a lot of people find that is a quick and easy, right? Sometimes I have done, like, I will play the video in 1.75 setting, and I will just skim through the whole material quickly, because if it says 8 hours, then double x will be 4, so something less than that, right? So or something more than that if I do that. So video is one way. You can also learn by doing projects. So there are many tutorials where they will build, so you don't have to know the entire language. You can start with something, and you can keep building on it. I'll give you an example. So I have never done mobile development before, right? And I wanted to have some fun over the winter break with my kid. So I started just with tutorials for fun, and we did build up a Android app, and it was very tutorial driven. I could do it. I will not say that I know it, right? But I can play with it more. So I think doing a little bit to get started is a good start. You don't have to read the book from cover to cover. I mean, I hope that's not a long-winded answer, but what I'm saying is engage in material in ways that suit you.
That's good, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question is there from Akshat Gupta. He's from VEC Lakhanpur. So he wants to ask, ma'am, my question is, as we are seeing everywhere, AI is replacing human, and there is less vacancies for mechanical students. So what can I do?
That is a difficult question for me. AI won't replace, I think, there is a lot of hype in the media. AI will enable us more. So maybe I think, I will not vote on that. You mechanical, so, so let me actually tell this. So in my job, I meet a lot of people who are bachelors in psychology, bachelors in religion, bachelors in politics, and they are doing good computer science work. So I think there isn't a bias against mechanical engineering. Civil will not get that. Your first job can be different, but I think it does end up being in your hands eventually. So, and I'm not saying this that I am saying this because I have also felt that, oh, how come I am struggling as a computer science engineer, but they are not. So again, I think the difference is that they have taken that step, because computer science is something you can learn. It is not, it's very easily that skill can be built. So I will definitely, tell you to not limit yourself by thinking mechanical, but you have to take those courses. You have to learn those technologies. So do side projects. I think that is a good way. Devote some time on weekends or otherwise.
One more question is there, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Vikas Chaudhary from B.
So, yeah, I think Professor Rathore, your screen had frozen, so I could not hear the question at all. So now I can see you fine.
Okay.
Can you repeat, please?
So, yes, ma'am. He wants to ask, I am Vikas Chaudhary from BC Lakhanpur. Can I know, ma'am, what kind of work you do in your company and what actually job role is there in your company?
So PayPal, I think you would, if you're not familiar with it, it's a payments company. So I work in the area of advertisements and personalizations. So how, based on the data, experience can be personalized for the customers. So that is what I do.
So I think.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for picking me up. Yeah. Hello and good afternoon to respected sir and ma'ams. My name is Mohnish Jamre, pursuing ET&T branch from JC Bilaspur. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are. Please. Hi, nice to meet you.
Yes, ma'am. Same here. Ma'am, I do like command and coding, but so I do want to start to learn programming languages. So can you suggest how do I start it?
Yeah. I think if I can suggest, Python would be a good way to get started. So one way would be course. Another, I have seen that there are sites where they give you little challenges. So code wars or things like that. So it will start with really something very simple, print this, print that, but it builds on what you have learned in the previous challenge. So I have seen a lot of people kind of just work up their skills in that language that way, and that's engaging, right? Because you are doing something, you are seeing the result. Okay, I know this much, this works. Now, what's the next challenge? So that is another way to engage. Course is always there. Taking a real-time project always helps. So maybe you don't know the language and you don't know how it will be done, but just think, come up with a project. Say you wanted to automate something, and so learn with that. So, I first need to build this to make this happen. So how can I build that? And internet will give you half the code. You don't even have to write everything. So you can learn that way also through work. Yeah. And I think these are easier ways to run. Book is always there, but I don't use book anymore because it's just too time taking. But I will say, if anybody is here wants to learn data structures and algorithms, do go through a book, textbook.
For initiating.
Sure.
Ma'am? Yeah. Ma'am, and I do have one more question.
Sure, go ahead.
We are in first year now, and we will continue to study engineering for another 3 years. So what are the things we should be concerned about, and what are the things we should take care of in the upcoming year?
So I think I hope from my talk you can take away some things, right? What you can prepare. If you are looking for a technical job, then it is a good idea to start early from your first year to work on those skills, because it just becomes easy. It's a muscle, right? You exercise it more, it develops more. So you can do that. Participate, I think, in projects or hackathons, or work with, like, in collaboration, do that. I think passion is very important. So see what you're passionate about and try to invest time in it. And I think I will definitely say one thing: the college days don't come back. So make sure you have fun as well. So
Yes,
so I
ma'am.
think apply those learnings from the talk. Maybe you can review it again and take some of those.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Sure, you're welcome.
Anshu wants to ask something, ma'am.
Sure.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I belong from a middle class family, and there is a slight difference between educating a girl and a boy. A girl has to do few things more than a boy, and I'm not complaining about it. It's something that is coming from days. So, what should be the mindset of a girl, or how her thoughts should be arranged so that she can focus on everything that comes from a house, either, or her career? So please.
Yeah, you have asked a very open-ended question. There can be hours on this. Yeah, so I think my slides, if you remember that juggling slide. Okay, let me walk through some of the things. So when I was in school or in college, I did not see myself as any different. I think there was a lot of parity. We would take the same exams, right? We would do the same, projects, and we would get. In my case, I did go through campus jobs, so it was a lot of people got the same exact job, same salary, same everything. So I did not have any sense of this, right? But I think changes start happening when you get married. So that's the first place a lot of people will start facing problem. The problem can be that now you have two careers to manage, right? So due to sometimes social norms, as you said, as a girl in the family, it's a little bit different. You may be the one giving up or being more submissive. So a lot of people get affected by either they end up losing a job or they move and they have to find a new job. A lot of people who came to US after getting married did not have the right visa to work, right? So I have seen a lot of friends who were engineers, did not work for first few years and then ended up not working at all, right? So I think it is that point is important, that you know what you want. Obviously, you can try to work out a win-win situation where, it keeps, you happy as well, because frustrations do build up later, right? If you give up something. So that is the first point where girls start seeing it. And then second is, I think, family, starting a young family, and even when the family is young, they end up constantly disproportionately giving time to the family. I am not saying that, that it is a women only problem, because there are a lot of men, including my spouse and a lot of my friends, who are very devoted and put in a lot of work. But I think the general bias starts kicking in somewhere, and also the wiring of being a mother, it starts pushing you more towards that responsibility. So that's one place where you can, try to keep that in mind and upskill yourself. Make sure your career is important, so then you give time to it. So that is another place you can think about. And I think, being confident in what you want, it doesn't always mean picking up a fight, but it does mean that, working out what is your priority. Something is important to you, then, you have a buy-in from all the stakeholders, whether it's your family and, immediate family or the extended family. So those are some of the things. Does that answer in the line that you were looking for, or is there anything I can address more?
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay. So I think questions are over, ma'am.
Sure. They were very engaging questions. Thank you so much.
I think Indrani ma'am voice is low, I think. Is it audible, ma'am? Namrata ma'am?
I can hear you, but I cannot hear Indrani ma'am.
Indrani ma'am, I think some headphone issue is there, or
Yeah, maybe you can unplug. Yeah, let's try that.
So we can move on to feedback session.
yes, ma'am, we can move.
Yeah.
Low, but yes.
All right. So for feedback sessions, we have our students with us. I would like to invite Sejal Devangan for her feedback on this session. Sejal Devangan.
I think Sejal have given, I think. Sejal? Okay.
Yes, so
Who is the next ma'am?
Yes. So we also have Vinayak Chandras from electrical branch. Vinayak, are you there?
Vinayak?
Vinayak Chandra from electrical branch.
I think.
Okay. I would like to invite Diptanshu Srivastav for feedback.
Thank you for the opportunity to give the feedback. Thank you, Namrata ma'am, for this enlightening for enlightening us wonderful knowledge that how we can develop our career in technology. As I am also very much fascinated with technology, because this is the field where every day we get to know new things and techniques day by day. And this is the field which is considered to be a growing field as per the passage of time. And even I also want to say thank you, ma'am, for changing my perception that how we should actually need to get what actually to get out from a first job. That is not salary, but the creative fulfillment. And and how much prepare a mindset that is growing mindset, not the fixed mindset. And I hope that this all knowledge of yours and experiences will help us to develop such ability to build a successful career. And at last, I also want to thank you to my institute GC Bilaspur and the TechCube3 project for organizing such a valuable session. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Diptanshu. I would like to call Ayush Divakar for the feedback.
Yeah, ma'am. Very good afternoon to all of you present over here. Our respected Mishra sir, respected Prince Chawla sir, and all our faculty members and respected Namrata ma'am, to giving me a great opportunity to present my feedback on here. Firstly, I thank you to Namrata ma'am to give me us a great knowledge about internship, mentors, sponsorships, and resumes and tips tips of interviews. And your story gives us a motivation to go beyond our limits or imaginations, ma'am. And our education can't limit us to go on our passions or professions. I think I grab this knowledge from your webinar, ma'am, and I thank you, and I thank to ma'am to guide us for our after degree, and I also thank to Mishra sir and Chawla sir to conduct a webinar for which are basically based on our education and professional lives also. And I thank to them. Well, this is from my side. Thank you, ma'am.
Great, thank you too.
Thank you, Ayush. I would like to call Vinayak Chandra Singh for feedback.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Vinayak Rathore, first year student, electrical engineering, JC Bilaspur. I would really thank you, ma'am, for guiding us for our career preparation, how we can get our first job, what are the things which matters in our job, like communication skills, behavior, teamwork, and management, and how to deal with the environment, how to deal with the working environment, which really help us in our career building and a successful career, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure, thank you too.
Thank you, Vinayak. And that's all from the feedback session. And over to you, Anshu.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you so much, Namrata ma'am, for answering all those queries with keen questions. So at last, I would like to say, keep on asking your queries and questions aloud. कहीं ना कहीं से तो जवाब जरूर आएगा. कमी नहीं है जवाब देने वालों की दुनिया में. So at the end, for vote of thanks, I would like to invite Indrani Borkar ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Anshu. It's an honor to have been asked to offer a vote of thanks on the occasion of the webinar on navigating career in technology. On behalf of college and the entire management group here, my gratitude to all the participants present here. We have been fortunate to have Namrata Jha with us today. Thank you, ma'am, for sparing time for this webinar and mentor and guide our students for better job opportunities through various concepts. Thank you so much. I want to extend my generous thanks to respected Mr. Divakar Mishra, IFS, State Project Administrator, SPIU Chhattisgarh, for his constant motivation and guidance. I thank you, respected Principal Dr. B.S. Chawla, sir. In his leadership, we as an institution getting better data. I also thank Dr. G.S. Singh, coordinator of this event, for his guidance. I thank Professor Vivek Singh Rathore. Without his technical assistance, this webinar couldn't run smoothly. I also thank Anshu Singh. She, as a moderator of this event, done a great job. I extend my thank the faculties of GC Bilaspur and other institution for participation. And at last, I also thank students from GC Bilaspur and other institutions for their patience and great involvement. Thank you everyone for such an appreciating involvement. Thank you very much. Thank you. Anshu, over to you.
Yes, and here we have come to end of our session. Vivek sir, over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Anshu, and thank you, Namrata ma'am, and all who are present. So the e-certificates, participation certificate, can be availed through filling a feedback form, which will be mailed to you within an hour, and by filling it, you will be getting your e-certificate in your mail ID, which you will provide there. So just wait for an hour, you will get the mail. Thank you so much.
Excellent, Namrata. Very good.
Great, thank you. Thank you. I think this was a great experience for me, and I appreciate the